What is the hardest thing that you practice?
That is not to allow yourself to be overwhelmed by despair. That's the hardest thing. Because when you are overwhelmed by despair, that is the worst thing that can happen to you. I remember when the war was going on, we did not see the light at the end of the tunnel. It seems that the war will go on and on and on forever. And the young people came and asked, "Dear Thay, do you think that the war will end soon?" And it's very difficult to answer because you have not seen the light at the end of the tunnel. But if you say, "I don't know," if you say, "I don't know," and then you water the seed of despair in them. So Thầy had to breathe in and out a few times. And then what they said is that, "Dear friends, the Buddha said that everything is impermanent. The war should be impermanent also. And it should end someday. Let us continue to work for peace." You know that during the war, we young monks and nuns and lay practitioners, we organized the School of Youth for Social Service, like a peace corps created by John F. Kennedy. And we go into the war zone and we help the wounded people. We help create refugee centers. We help them a chance to go back to their normal life. And we rebuild the villages that had been bombed. There is a village called Taluk, not very far from the demilitarized zone, separating north and south. The village of Taluk was bombed, completely destroyed. And our young social workers, including monks and nuns and lay practitioners, we helped rebuild the village. But it was bombed again and destroyed again. And our social workers wire us and asked whether they should rebuild it. And we said, "Rebuild it." And we rebuilt it. And it was bombed again. 4 times. And if we give up, that will create a feeling of despair. That is why we keep rebuilding, and rebuilding. So the hardest thing is not to lose your hope, to give up to despair. That is the hardest thing. And we have gone through 2 wars like that. And we saw French soldiers came and kill and get killed. We saw young Americans came and kill and get killed. You know that 50,000 young Americans were killed in Vietnam. And hundreds of thousands of them wounded. And many had to be cared by psychotherapists and so on. In a situation of utmost suffering like that, if we don't have a practice, we cannot survive. And we practice in such a way that we can preserve our hope and our compassion. And when the journalists talk about, ask us questions about that, about how you feel about young Americans coming and kill and die in Vietnam. We said that they are victims. We don't hate them. They are victims of a kind of policy that is not very intelligent. A policy based on fear. Fear of the taking over by communists of the whole Southeast Asia. And they are victims. They had to come here to kill and to die. You understand? So we are not angry at them. And in 1966, Thay was invited to come to America. And he had a chance to talk to the American people about the war. And there was a very angry young American who stood up and told her this: you should not be here. You should not go back and fight American imperialism in Vietnam. And you have to kill the American soldiers there. And Thay's answer is that I thought that the root of the war is here. That is not in Vietnam. The young Americans who came in Vietnam, they are just victims. So I had to come here and tell the American people that this war is not helping Vietnam at all. So without that kind of understanding and compassion, you will lose yourself in anger and hate, and you cannot say things like that and help the American people to understand and to reverse to shape the policy. And there was a peace movement in America opposing the war in Vietnam. As people demanded peace and did not get it, they got very angry. So there was a lot of anger in the peace movement. And when they to America and talked to these groups, they said that, well, if you have a lot of anger in you, you cannot achieve peace. You have to be peace before you can do peace. And understanding is very important. You need to know how to write a love letter to your president, to your Congress, and telling them that you do not want the war. And if you write a strong, angry letter, they will not read it. So Thay was able to speak like that and help somehow to end the war. And understand suffering, have compassion to be born in you. And you are free, be free from despair, from anger, and you can help the cause of peace.